Have you ever wondered how some of history's most brutal dictators managed to stay in power for years, even decades, without anyone stopping them? They didn't just rule with iron fists. They used twisted, clever tricks to control minds, erase hope, and keep millions trapped in fear. Today, we're going on a chilling journey into the darkest corners of power. Let's uncover 5 terrifying tactics dictators used to hold on to their thrones, no matter what it cost. Trick 1. Fear as a weapon. Pol Pot's reign of terror. Our journey begins in the dense, green jungles of Cambodia, during one of the most horrifying chapters in modern history. In the 1970s, Pol Pot, the ruthless leader of the Khmer Rouge, turned fear into his ultimate weapon, one so powerful it silenced an entire nation. His plan? Wipe out the past. In a shocking move, Pol Pot emptied out every city and village overnight. No warnings, no explanations. Imagine being fast asleep in your bed, only to be awakened by the sound of boots, shouting, and gunfire. Soldiers ordered families to grab only what they could carry and abandon everything they had ever known. He didn't just target the rich or powerful. Everyone, from farmers and children to grandparents and teachers, was forced into labor camps hidden in the wilderness. In these camps, people worked up to 18 hours a day, hauling stones, digging ditches, chopping wood, with almost no food, clean water, or rest. If someone dared to complain, if they whispered about escaping, if they cried too loudly for their lost home, they were taken away and never seen again. Historians estimate that nearly 2 million Cambodians died from execution, starvation, or disease under Pol Pot's rule. That's almost 1/4 of the country's population. Families were destroyed in moments. Little children watched in horror as their parents were dragged away. Towns once filled with laughter turned into silent, ghostly ruins. But Pol Pot didn't stop there. He banned books, art, religion, and even wearing glasses. Anything that hinted at thinking freely or being too smart. His goal wasn't just to kill bodies. It was to erase minds, to make people so terrified, so numb, the resistance became unthinkable. This brutal strategy worked for a while, until fear itself began to crack, and the world finally saw the truth. What would you do if speaking up meant your life? Would you stay silent or risk everything for freedom? Glorified lies. The golden illusions of Saparmurat Niyazov. Now, let's fly across the globe to the blazing deserts of Turkmenistan, where a man named Saparmurat Niyazov tried something completely different. While Pol Pot used fear, Niyazov used fantasy. He didn't just want power, he wanted worship. To achieve that, he created an alternate reality, one where he was the hero, the savior, and the sun itself. Across the capital city, Niyazov built gigantic golden statues of himself, one so massive it rotated to follow the sun, shining over the people like a divine guardian. He plastered his face on billboards, school walls, currency, TV channels, and even red wrappers. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing his eyes watching you. He claimed to perform miracles, like halting rainstorms with a gesture or healing the land with his words. These stories were written in a strange book he called the Ruhnama. Every citizen had to read this book. It replaced textbooks in schools. University exams included questions about his imaginary childhood. Refuse to read it? Lose your job, your home, maybe even your freedom. He even renamed the months of the year after himself and his family. April became Gurban Sultan, named after his mother. January? Just Turkmenbashi, his own self-given title meaning father of all Turkmen. And still, the people clapped and smiled and waved flags, because behind the golden glow was something else: fear. The threat that if you didn't cheer loudly enough, someone would notice. Niyazov's empire wasn't built on truth. It was built on forced belief and a never-ending theater of loyalty. Could you live in a world where truth didn't matter, only the lies told by one man? Trick 3. Child soldiers. The stolen youth of Idi Amin. Next, we travel to Uganda, where another dictator used a terrifying trick. He brainwashed the future. Idi Amin, one of Africa's most brutal rulers, didn't just want control over adults. He wanted to shape children into weapons. Instead of giving kids books, sports, or playtime, Amin gave them guns. He recruited boys as young as 10 years old into his military. Imagine being a child who should be learning math or playing tag, and instead, you're marching in uniform, ordered to hurt others at the command of a dictator. Amin called himself their protector, their father figure. He told them he was a hero, and anyone against him was evil. Soon, these children were trained to attack villages, steal food, and kill on command. They never got to grow up only to obey. He didn't just take their innocence, he replaced it with violence. He twisted their view of the world so completely that many of them believed cruelty was normal. It was psychological warfare, but aimed at children. And the worst part? It worked. By raising a generation in violence, Amin created an army that would never question him because they never knew another way of life. What if your childhood was stolen before you even knew what it was? Trick 4. Starvation for silence. Kim Il-sung's control in North Korea. Now let's go to North Korea, where the founder of the regime, Kim Il-sung, found one of the cruelest ways to control his people. He starved them into obedience. During the 1990s, North Korea faced a famine that killed hundreds of thousands, possibly even millions. But it wasn't a natural disaster, it was engineered through policy. Kim Il-sung took almost all food produced by farmers and sent it to the military and the elite. Everyone else, children, mothers, workers, was left to scavenge for survival. Kids went to bed hungry night after night, crying themselves to sleep. Parents gave up their last bite of food to their children and still watched them fade away. The worst part? Speaking up about it wasn't allowed. Complaining was treason. Trying to escape? Executed or sent to prison camps. People were so malnourished they ate grass, bark, and dirt just to stay alive. But in the capital, Kim Il-sung dined like a king feasting on imported goods and watching as loyalty grew through desperation. This wasn't just neglect. It was strategy. By keeping the people weak, tired, and focused only on survival, he made rebellion impossible. When you're starving, you don't dream of freedom. You dream of bread. Trick 5. Isolation Nation. Enver Hoxha's iron cage in Albania. Finally, let's head to Albania, a small European country that became one of the most isolated places on Earth under the rule of Enver Hoxha. Hoxha didn't just fear enemies, he feared ideas. So he cut off his country from the rest of the world. No imports. No outside TV or radio. No travel, no visitors, no communication beyond the borders. Then, he built something bizarre. Over 700,000 concrete bunkers spread across every inch of the land. They looked like gray mushrooms, popping up in fields, streets, even backyards. People were taught to fear outsiders. Children were told that foreigners would invade at any moment. Hoxha used that fear to justify total control. He became the only voice in the country, the only source of news, the only supplier of food, medicine, and electricity. Even families were afraid to speak freely at dinner tables. Walls had ears. Neighbors spied on neighbors. Everyone lived in a cage, one built with concrete, paranoia, and silence. Can you imagine growing up never knowing what lies beyond your street, your city, your country? That was Albania under Hoxha, a prison disguised as a nation. Final thoughts. The psychology of control. So what do these stories teach us? Dictators don't just use violence to rule. They use fear, fantasy, manipulation, starvation, and silence. They shape reality. They steal futures. They turn whole countries into invisible prisons. But understanding these tricks makes us stronger. It reminds us that freedom must be protected and truth must be defended, even when it's hard. Thanks for joining Tyrant Tales. If you found this story powerful, hit subscribe and ring the bell. We'll keep uncovering history's darkest corners. And check the links below for more deep dives into the psychology of power. Until next time, stay sharp, stay free, and never stop questioning the world around you.